The NASCAR Xfinity Series regular season, let's just say, was a bit tighter than usual. If I'm being honest, this 12-driver field is the most deserving. It is the strongest because it feels like they all earned their right to be here and they weren't a beneficiary of a lack of competitive cars. And because of that, I'm telling you, it is going to make for a fantastic postseason as NRF Productions proudly presents the Spotter's Guide predicting the 2022 NASCAR Xfinity Series Playoffs. Throughout the ups and throughout the downs of his journey at Junior Motorsports here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, NASCAR fans have consistently asked about Noah Gragson. When is he going to mature? When is he finally going to put those childish antics behind him? It's safe to say 2022 has been the year to see one of NASCAR's fun personalities, a guy that's not afraid to let loose, finally get the success to go along with it. Just this year alone, he has 6 wins, as that is more than his previous 3 seasons combined in the series, and he has had a lot of fun in NASCAR's Saturday show this season. And I know a lot of people might say that they are lucky wins, but when you look at Phoenix and Darlington, his engine number 9, it was hauling the mail by leading well over half the race in both of those events. Luke Lambert, I'm telling you, his Cup experience has really helped get the most out of Noah Gragson, a driver that was developed by Dave Ellens and the machine that ended up producing a lot of guys like William Byron and Tyler Reddick. And now Noah Gragson is finally looking like those drivers, and all that is left in his molding, in his craft, is the NASCAR Xfinity Series Championship. Something that would officially complete his journey as Gragson heads off to Petty GMS and Cup next year. And when you consider the dominant Chevrolet and Junior Motorsports they have had over their rivals, they have been the top dogs, the top shelf. Noah Gragson right now is the surefire favorite to win the championship, win it all. His main rival for this championship just so happens to be his number 1 rival on the track as well, as this is a driver right here, Ty Gibbs. He has risen up the ranks in a big way. Now obviously this driver has had a different path to the top, as number 1 he has a rich grandfather that just so happens to own one of the better teams in the entire series. And number 2, Ty Gibbs is shown to adapt well to completely new situations. He's one of those guys like Young Money Kyle Larson, he can instantly get it going with minimal experience. Something included in that is his first full-time season in any top 3 NASCAR touring division. Ty Gibbs has won 5 races this year, and he has had a much more consistent season than Noah Gragson in comparison. And you gotta keep in mind, this guy started running full-time this season. I know Chris Gale seems to get a lot of flack for the final outcome of Eric Jones at JGR, but he has been really good the past 2 years in Xfinity, and he has been a critical piece in Ty Gibbs' development as a driver. Couple in the car that his grandfather fields for him, one of the best cars performance-wise. It has a lot of the top engineers and people working on this car. Ty Gibbs, he has the potential to make NASCAR history as the first driver born in the 2000s to win a top 3 NASCAR championship. Perhaps 2022 has been Justin Allgaier's best pursuit at finally becoming Xfinity champion. Something that is downright ludicrous, I'm sure, considering 2018, but hear me out. Did he win the regular season championship this season like he did in 2018? No, he did not. Did he match his wins total of that elite season? No, not yet. So what exactly makes this 7 team so deadly in its endeavor? Well, let's look at the races he's won real closely. As you got Darlington, he led 76 laps. He had to fend off 2 of his hard-charging teammates to tame the Lady in Black. Nashville, meanwhile, was a tough day, and it had nothing to do with the scorching weather conditions. A lot of the drivers were uncomfortable in the car, but that was obviously second to the fact that Justin Allgaier absolutely smoked the competition to lead 134 of the 188 laps. Absolutely none of Allgaier's competitors left the Music City satisfied. They were sitting there traumatized thinking, how on earth did Allgaier just school us on that afternoon? Then you had Loudon this season. He overcame a rookie mistake after taking out one of the only female drivers in NASCAR, so I'm sure he got a lot of hate comments on social media. However, a taste of the lobster and all of its juicy goodness is a good way to cope with some of the stresses that come with NASCAR Twitter. Justin Allgaier, Jason Burdett, and this 7 team, they have that intermediate speed to go along with these rough learning experiences like in 2018. That and the playoff experience is why this Brent team right here is the most deadly of them all entering these playoffs compared to any other season Justin Allgaier has been in this series. Seated 4th is the guy that just does not age, as this is AJ Allmendinger. He is a California kid, and we can all tell that he's been sipping on that California wine. Even as Colleague Racing, they have tried to curb his Xfinity title ambitions by separating he and Jason Trinchier, as well as a decline organizationally in raw speed. AJ Allmendinger has been a lot more consistent, and I mean a lot more, yes, even more consistent than the season he won the regular season championship. So how does one achieve that? How about starting the season with 12 consecutive top 10 finishes? To nobody's surprise, AJ Allmendinger was able to win his second consecutive regular season championship, which was way more anticlimactic because of his consistency. Look, AJ Allmendinger, he continues to be a living inspiration, and it is borderline impossible to see him missing the championship with just how consistent, with just how damn good, with how he has aged, especially in this season. These next 6 weeks for AJ Allmendinger and Bruce Schlicker should be a breeze, and it will allow the 16 team to try to figure out Phoenix. This is a track that they have struggled at historically, as they have not really had the winning speed, and that is something they're going to need, especially when winning the championship in this winner-take-all format. However, outside of that, there are no flaws in the short term, especially in this postseason. The third entry for Junior Motorsports is Josh Berry, as he makes his first and surely not last run at the NASCAR title in this JRM car number 8. He got here with his 2 statement wins, first by taming Miles the Monster at Dover. This is a beast that is just hard to contain. Josh Berry did a phenomenal job of doing that for win number 1, and then you had win number 1 in the Queen City, a hard-fought duel between he and teammate Justin Allgaier for all the glory, and in this case Josh Berry would end up winning this duel. Junior Motorsports veteran Mike Bumgarner has continued to build on that sample size that he had of Josh Berry whenever he raced some select starts in the number 1 when Michael Annett got injured. Now there's a major disclaimer. Is he the top dog in this fight for Junior Motorsports? Absolutely not. Berry is disadvantaged compared to the 9 team and Gragson just being on the top of their game, winning all these races, and Justin Allgaier, Randall Burnett, and the 7 team that have the experience and they have the intermediate speed. Still, he is one of the favorites to make it to Phoenix based on the fact that he, as the 3rd best driver on the team, he still trumps some of the best entries from teams such as Stewart-Haas and RCR. Is Austin Hill the next great super speedway racer in the NASCAR Xfinity Series with the departure of Justin Haley? Honestly, that answer is yes, because you look at Daytona. First Xfinity start for Richard Childress Racing. He wastes no time by checking off the box as Xfinity Series winner. Talladega, he leads a race-high 67 laps before the luck runs out with a late race crash. Atlanta in July, he builds on his 27 laps led in the spring to win on the track an hour south of where he grew up, Winston, Georgia. Look, if the NASCAR Xfinity Series schedule were chocked full of super speedways, like I'm sure a lot of the people at the top want it to be, Austin Hill would surely be my favorite for the championship. Unfortunately for Hill, this is a diverse set of tracks, and when you take super speedways out of the equation completely, Daytona, Atlanta, and Talladega do not exist. When you subtract all those racetracks, he's only led 39 laps all season. And considering how he does historically at short tracks, Austin Hill, he seems destined to repeat what he's done at Hattori. Also hailing from the Peach State of Georgia is Atlanta's Brandon Jones. This isn't exactly something to celebrate, but Brandon Jones has officially made the NASCAR Xfinity Playoffs in all 5 of his seasons at Joe Gibbs Racing. Still better than all those years he was 15th in RCR equipment, but there is a lot still to be desired from Brandon Jones and his career at JGR, especially since this is now a lame duck playoff run. Brandon Jones will take his talents to Junior Motorsports to replace Noah Gragson, a ride he honestly hasn't even earned in the slightest based on this season, as yes, he has the win, he won that race in Martinsville, but outside of that, he is on track to set a new low in top 10s in his JGR career. While Brandon Jones is only 24, and there's plenty of room for improvement, he is not to that age of 30, which is typically the prime for a NASCAR driver. But honestly, Brandon Jones remains a driver punching under his weight class, much like in 2018 when a lot of people thought he did not deserve the 19 in the first place. Honestly, if I'm being honest right here, Jeremy Clements should consider running the 23 next season because it seems to be his lucky number. 5 years after his chaotic win at Elkhart Lake, race 23 to make the postseason for the first time, Clements survived the chaos at Daytona in the midnight hours to win his second career race, also race 23 of the season. This win was not without its fair share of controversy, as the winning Chevrolet Camaro originally received an L2 penalty from NASCAR for an illegal intake manifold. Though the timing of the announcement would have fit more for September 14th, the penalty issued to the Jeremy Clements Racing 51, it was dropped, meaning that for the second year in a row, Clements will be racing for a championship. Now, in his previous 2 trips, Clements failed to make it to the round of 8, and once again the odds are stacked against him. But with the Chevrolet power, you got to consider Chevrolet, they have been the strong manufacturer this season. Perhaps if you have a race that has 23 cautions, Jeremy Clements can make a serious run at this championship by winning his way into Phoenix. When Sam Mayer was confirmed to race full-time for Junior Motorsports this year, I and potentially many in the NASCAR industry were preparing for the worst. We were preparing for a lot of wrecked race cars and a lot of rookie mistakes from this 19-year-old. It's not that he didn't have the talent, but it was clear that the NASCAR Xfinity Series was not his next step, but rather the NASCAR Truck Series with GMS Racing. Sam Mayer would have still been better off in Jack Wood's seat in the 24 truck, but as the successor to veteran Michael Annett in car number 1, I have to be honest, he has picked up a bit on that veteranness, and it has made him a bit better than what I expected entering this season. He's already scored as many top 10s, in fact, than the first 2 seasons of Michael Annett at JRM. Perhaps a lot has to do with Junior Motorsports just having the speed this year. They have been on another level when it comes to the competition, so maybe he is a Junior Motorsports and Chevrolet merchant. Then again, there were no expectations for Sam Mayer coming into this season, and honestly, just making the postseason with the number 1 team and Taylor Moyer in this first season, Sam Mayer this first season has already been a massive success no matter what he does in these next 7 weeks. Daniel Hemric remains the most puzzling driver in NASCAR history. 2022 has seen the consistency, the thing that has been Hemric's roots to success, severely damaged. Less of the top 10s and decent finishes, and more crash-related casualties have really hurt his performance this season. It seems like the foundation has been completely eradicated, especially with Alex Jans, who led the team for a majority of the season. He was replaced with Jason Trinchier beginning at Kansas. Okay, maybe we have to acknowledge the fact that Kaulig Racing, they have taken a step back this season due to the growing pains in the Cup Series. But then again, you look at what AJ Allmendinger has done this year. Daniel Hemric should have been able to pick up where he left off, but here we are. Now, of course, being critical of Daniel Hemric was thrown out the window when he won the 2021 championship. Any talk of him underperforming at Kaulig on Twitter is easily ratioed with a GIF of his backflip at Phoenix. Based on this season, it looks like Hamrick is going to have the same reputation as the Chicago Cubs. 100 plus races of failure and coming up short, but it is completely overlooked by absolutely everyone by that one glorious moment where hell froze over. It's no surprise that Ford doesn't have a lot of representation in these playoffs, as their 2 entries are 11th and 12th in the playoff grid. Number 1 is the sophomore Stewart-Haas Racing driver Riley Herbst. This is a driver that has been far from terrible, unlike his nickname, as he has shown tremendous improvement as a driver this season. He has already matched his top 5s from last year and has already exceeded the top 10 total he had. Unfortunately for Riley Herbst, the Ford Xfinity program, they have been behind. They have not had the performance. In fact, Riley Herbst has only led 11 laps the entire season, which is way off from 2021. For Riley Herbst in this playoffs, I think the name of the game has to be consistency. He doesn't have the speed. Richard Boswell in this 98 team, they need to acknowledge that, because it is going to be an uphill climb to beat the likes of Chevrolet in the teams like Noah Gragson, AJ Allmendinger, and Justin Allgaier. So just getting top 5s, top 10s, that is going to be their ticket to Phoenix, because likely the speed is not going to be anywhere close to those contenders. So as they say, there are 2 ways to the top. You can climb the ladder, make sure you're putting in the work necessary to get the job done to be of that status, or you can sit around and watch your enemies destroy each other and ultimately be the one that comes out in the long run. Ryan Sieg did the latter. A driver that looked to be down, a driver that looked to be out. In fact, he really had a horrible summer, and that ended up costing him a lot of points, put him on the outside looking in, especially with Jeremy Clements' clutch victory at Daytona. However, at Bristol, he just went out there and got a top 10, while Sheldon Creed and Landon Castle self-destructed in the big moment. Not really much to say about this number 39 team. I think much like Riley Herbst, they're in a situation where Ford right now, they are just straight up horrible in terms of Xfinity. I mean, as good he made the playoffs, it is awesome to see, the David take down the Goliath. But this team right here, the CMR roofing team, they have their work cut out for them. They are at a huge deficit that they will need to overcome in a big way to make any sort of traction, any gains in these playoffs. The NASCAR Xfinity Series postseason run mimics that of the Cup Series, just without the round of 16. 12 drivers began their hopes of winning the title at everyone's favorite track, Texas, followed by the places that are absolutely dreaded by the competitors, Talladega and the Charlotte Roval. The round of 8 consists of your usual playoff venues, that being Las Vegas, Homestead, Miami, which makes its return for the first time since 2019, and Martinsville, leading into the final battle at Phoenix Raceway. A race where you're going to have 4 drivers continue the 3-year tradition of a one-race duel in the desert for all the glory. When it comes to predicting who is going to advance and who is going to come up short, even in a season where things have been a bit tighter, honestly, Xfinity, out of the 3 playoff brackets, this was the easiest one to breeze through. When you look at the round of 12, Daniel Hemric, Brandon Jones, Ryan Sieg, and Jeremy Clements, they just do not have that consistency. They do not have the structure to make a deep run, as they are either underfunded or they are potentially going to go through some serious changes within their teams. The round of 8 is going to be much more competitive, but for Sam Mayer, Josh Berry, Austin Hill, and Riley Herbst, I hate to say it, but the dream stops here after these stretch of races. Not necessarily because these are bad race teams, but because the drivers that are advancing have just been on another level this season. AJ Allmendinger will win Las Vegas, Noah Gragson will earn redemption from last year and punch his ticket at Homestead, Justin Allgaier uses his instincts to win Martinsville, and then you have Gibbs to consistently make it into that championship race at Phoenix. These have been the best 4 drivers, the best 4 teams of the year, which will make for a strong final race for the Xfinity Trophy, which means that in reality we are going to see Daniel Hemric return to his 2021 form. He is going to point his way into the championship and pull off another miracle in Phoenix. So anyways, this is Nathan for NRF Productions signing out, and just remember guys and gals, life's a beach and then you drive.